All right, welcome once again to the program. This is the sheet for the 23rd of June, Tuesday. Seems like it's trade deadline week around the NHL, the way the rumors are continuing and also the way the speculation continues. And, well, it's not as if trades aren't getting done, folks, including a whopper that we saw between the Florida Panthers and the Ottawa Senators, more to come. Pick your team. Chances are they're involved in significant trade discussions right now. Why? Everyone's got more money and the free agent class is weak. And that's it. And it's almost as if the NHL right now is becoming a league where teams are either doing one thing or another. It's two things, either rebuilding or taking a swing at the Stanley Cup. Like the middle class of the NHL is quickly saying, we're in or we're out. We're making our decision right now. And if you have a look at the landscape and speculate on what next season could look like, look, the Florida Panthers are right back in the mix with one deal here and the return of Alexander Barkov. But you can also make the case, Stanley Cup is jump ball. There's some teams that are always heavyweights, and those are teams that are swinging for the fences yet again to try to improve their team because the field that is around them continues to get better and better. But teams are either rebuilding or swinging for the Stanley Cup, and that's it. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of teams just going like, well, we're going to see how it goes next season. And one of the most interesting ones are the Detroit Red Wings. We'll get into that. Another interesting team, and we'll talk about these guys coming up a little bit later, who outside of the Ross Colton move have kind of been a little bit quiet, but they got a new general manager that wants to shake things up. And that's the Nashville Predators. And as I've mentioned on this program the past couple of weeks, I do wonder about the St. Louis Blues and what new general manager Alex Steen has up his sleeve as he redoes this team. In the meantime, a lot of us around here and a lot of us in the hockey world were pretty pleased yesterday. The Hockey Hall of Fame announced its class of 2026. Congratulations, Patrice Bergeron. Congratulations, Carey Price and Pekka Rinne, two goaltenders. By the way, we've told you the Hall of Fame is cleaning up the goalie class. Not that they're not deserving, but expect more goaltenders soon. So don't worry, everyone who's screaming about Curtis Joseph. That's most likely going to happen, I would imagine, in the not too distant future. Cindy Curley, congratulations. Keith Tkachuk, congratulations. And going in as a builder, Brian Burke. A lot of smiles around the hockey world from a lot of corners around the hockey world, from a lot of different places that Brian Burke touched significantly, smiling. And in a lot of ways, that is the true definition of a builder. Here's someone that has spent an entire life in hockey, affecting a number of different places, both on and off the ice. And if the definition of a builder is you left the place better than when you started, then this one is a layup. Congratulations to Brian Burke and the Burke family. With that, coming up on the program, The Blueprint, powered by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. Speaking of the Burke family, Patrick Burke will be stopping by from the NHL's Department of Player Safety. Talk about his dad. Tyler Yaremchuk from Daily Faceoff Live and Oilers Nation Every Day will stop by. Mike Babcock, the Oilers announcing today, official. He's their new head coach. DJ Smith comes aboard as an assistant coach as well. We'll talk about the remainder of the 2026 Hall of Fame class. Brady Tkachuk speaks. We'll talk about trade discussions around the NHL, all your hot button names, all your hot button teams. We're going to have plenty of trade discussion on the program today. And who knows, by the time the program is over, maybe even a blockbuster or two. In the meantime, pleased to welcome aboard to the program, no stranger here, and is here for a different reason other than to talk about the All-Star Game or the Department of Player Safety or suspensions. He's the VP of Player Safety, but today he is Brian Burke's son, who's going into the Hockey Hall of Fame, Patrick Burke. Do I call you Little Burkey to Big Burkey? How would you like to be referred to, or son of a Hall of Famer? How do you want it, Pat?
Hall of Fame bloodline sounds pretty good to me. But when I first started working for the Flyers, there was a guy on staff who started calling me Little Burkey, and I immediately went, absolutely not. Started calling Big Burkey, and that has stuck. So I avoided the Little Burkey tag by making him Big Burkey.
All right. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for stopping by. Listen, it was I was so happy for your father yesterday. I think we all were. And I think that, like, right away, I got phone calls from a couple of players from the PWHL that were so happy. Hey, give me Brian's number. Hey, give me Brian's number. And there's a number of different areas that Big Burkey touched. And that, to me, is the definition of someone who helped build the game, capital G game, and left it in a better place than when he started. I mean, you know, your dad's bio, high school hockey student or high school hockey player, American Hockey League player with the Maine Mariners, agent, manager, worked at the league, won a Stanley Cup, outstanding broadcaster initiatives with LGBTQ plus and initiatives with the PWHL. And I remember your dad would always say to me, it's not enough just to say you support women's hockey, go buy a ticket. I was like, yeah, you're right. It's one thing to say I support it, but go do something about it. Your thoughts when you first heard the news?
Just thrilled for him. As you said, he's done so much in the game, from captain of Providence College, 1 year in the AHL, and he won a Calder Cup with the Maine Mariners, then went to Harvard Law. And I mean, that's a pretty good life for a lot of people, a minor league hockey championship in Harvard Law, and you would have been done there and you'd be pretty happy. And went to be a player agent, has run, 6 or 7, I think I lost count at this point, different NHL teams as either GM or president of hockey ops. Ran the discipline department here at the league, was the head of the players union for the PWHL, was a tremendous broadcaster for a while there. I mean, as I said, any one of those jobs would be a dream for most people, and he's done them all. So for our whole family, all my siblings, my dad's partner, a whole bunch of people who have supported him along the way. It's incredibly meaningful and touching to see that legacy that he has built over the course of 40 years in the game really being celebrated and recognized. So we're proud of him, grateful for him, and happy for the recognition.
I always think there's a number of places where I always think of your dad, and one is when the Jim Gregory is handed out, the General Manager of the Year, because that is something that I know that I'm to the point where he just must, like, Colin Campbell is going to have migraines for the rest of his life because of your dad lobbying for a GM of the Year award. Like, that has been something that was so special to Brian for so many different years. For so many years rather. Do you have a thought on the GM award and your dad's influence on getting this thing done finally?
I kept telling him, you're not going to win it, right? Like that's you're not going to, it's not for you. And he said, no, it's not for me. He said, but there's some of the most important people of the game and they don't get recognized. When you talk about how you're putting people in the Hall of Fame, you look at individual awards, the GMs never had one. When you talk about when they go and sit down in negotiations with owners and how to increase their salaries and their quality of life, they didn't have specific things that they could point to. And he fought hard with Coley and Gary and Bill for a long time, saying this award is meaningful for the GMs. It will help the GMs get recognition for the job that they do. And he was relentless in getting it through. And now you see, guys who are winning it year after year and getting the recognition that they deserve because they get a moment on stage at the awards, or because you go to their Wikipedia and it says, Jim Nill is the multi-time Jim Gregory GM of the Year award. Mm-hmm. Also love that it's named for Mr. Gregory.
Yes.
I mean, just done the right way across the board. But my dad always really believed in trying to help the group, help the other managers. He loved doing the extra media so that they didn't have to. He was always the one to raise his hand in the GM meetings if they wanted to push back on something that Gary or Coley or Bill might have been suggesting. He was happy to be a mouthpiece for them. So he's always had a really great community mindset in terms of helping the other GMs do their job better and develop them as executives, whatever else he could do to help them.
I want to talk about, leaving influence and helping younger general managers. But one of the things, and I've told Brian this countless times, one of the things that I really appreciated as a hockey fan, we see a lot of books from players. We see a lot of books from referees. We see a lot of books from a lot of coaches. We see a lot of books from a lot of different areas of the game, but not managers. And they're the ones that have guided the game. Those are the ones that have made the decisions that we all live with as fans and watch. And we wonder, well, why did that happen that way? Your dad always carried with him and always does this sense of sort of responsibility for the greater good. And I've always felt that, I don't know if obligation is too strong a word, but I would like to think that people that were in charge of the game that charted its future, right, are at the end of their careers, talk about the decisions they made and why they made them. So you get a snapshot of what happened while they drove the car. And managers just don't do that, there's been plenty of managers that have taken all that information and taken it to the afterlife. Your dad wrote a book with Stephen Brunt, and he's probably got at least 2 or 3 more in him. And I always respected that. I was like, it's such a Brian Burke thing to do. Like, I made all these decisions. I want everyone to know you can judge them good or bad, but this is why I made the decisions that I made. And people get a better understanding of, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Or now I understand that now. I wish more managers would follow that lead.
Yeah, I do too. As a executive in sports myself, I've read every sports management book that comes out. Anytime an NFL coach puts out a book, I'm ordering it. NBA, whatever. I'll read anything that a sports executive or coach puts out, because even if some of it is useless, you always get 2 or 3 really good things out of it. So I was glad when he wrote that. He's been a part of some of the biggest moments in hockey history. I don't know if he's ever mentioned that he drafted the Twins. That's come up a time or two. But honestly, some of the biggest trades in hockey history, some of the bringing Pavel Bure over from Russia. He's been involved in some of the really big moments in hockey history. And so I love that he put it down on paper. I agree. If other GMs start writing them, I'll certainly be buying them and reading them. But, like I said, some of the biggest trades, some of the biggest moves in the game's history were because of him.
Is it true that USA Hockey offered him a job for life?
After 2010, after the Vancouver Olympics, where USA Hockey was a hit crossbar away from, the biggest upset in USA Hockey history since the Miracle on Ice. Like you look at that 2010 team that my dad and the staff and John Tortorella put together, and the talent level is not nearly where it should have been to be a gold medal contender, and they almost got there. Yeah. My understanding is USA Hockey said to him, "We'd like you to be the permanent Olympic GM," and he said, "No, that's not fair to the other guys. There are too many other young GMs who need a shot at this. It should be a little bit competitive. It should be something where other guys get this on their resume." So he declined it. Said, "I'm happy to do it again. I would love to do it again." His thing with USA Hockey, he tells them all the time, "I'll fold towels if I need to. I'll carry bags to the bus. I will, set up the pucks on the bench. If you want me involved in USA Hockey, I'll do whatever I need to." But he didn't want to install himself above the other guys. And so because of that decision, you look at the list of guys who got to be Olympic hockey GMs, it's a great list. And those are some moments that they'll never forget. And so his selflessness in making sure that wasn't a thing, I think has been really great for USA Hockey as a whole.
Mentorship and leaving the game better and leaving spotlight, even just the 2010 story. I don't want to hog the spotlight. Listen, how many managers would have said, like, yeah, I'll take that. That's a plum gig. It's a gig for life. Yeah, I'm taking that one. I got up. Like, your dad's never been one of those, I got to the top of the roof and I'm going to kick the ladder down now. Like, he's never been that guy. It's leave the ladder there and help people up.
His development, like his managerial tree, is really impressive. There are some guys who are GMs for a long time and their assistant GMs never become GMs or go on to other things. And that's fine. That's certainly one way of doing things. A lot of guys have had a lot of success doing that. Big Burke had George McPhee, Dave Nonis, Chuck Fletcher, Steve Stais, Brad Treliving, Craig Conroy, Patrick Alvin, Paul Holmgren. I'm almost positive I'm missing one or two who worked under him or with him at various points in his career, and that he helped get to the next level. Brad Pascal in Calgary is on track to become a future GM as well. Like there's going to be a long list of executives, or there already is, frankly, a long list of executives who either got their start under him, learned from him, absorbed knowledge from him. He helped, get their profile up, got them into interviews, got their name out there, which is important in terms of getting a job. So there's any number of current and potentially future NHL general managers who are under his kind of tree. He would make sure I correct myself and say it's the Pat Quinn tree, that he's under Pat Quinn and this all flows through Pat.
Yep.
It is something to be said for developing the guys under you and turning them into executives in their own right.
One of the things that I've always told people, use hockey for something. Don't let hockey use you. Use hockey for something. And whether it's his work with the military, you can play, as I mentioned before, like supporting women's hockey to the place where it's at now, where there's, Larry Tannenbaum's and the Illiches are investing $100 million into the PWHL. That was a nice headline yesterday. That's something outside of the game that, your dad used as a vehicle to make, honestly, to make the world a better place, bluntly.
No, I remember being young, and when he took over in Vancouver, him telling us that we were all going to go visit Canuck Place, and, being whatever I was, 14, 15, and not understanding what it meant. And he said the relationship between the Canucks and Canuck Place, which is a hospice for families where children are terminally ill, and the families can go to kind of minimize their suffering as the child's life plays out. My dad rebuilt the relationship between the Canucks and Canuck Place personally. He would, they still tell stories there about him coming down from fishing trips at Langara Lodge and dropping off all the salmon he caught. So the families got to eat fresh caught salmon that night. Like, that level of personal care for those families meant a ton. His work with women's hockey, the PWHL, probably would not exist without his influence, with the work that he did with the CWHL and the NWHL before that, and his help with Stan Kasten getting all this off the ground, then working as the head of their players union. And then, of course, You Can Play and his work with the LGBTQ community. He didn't have to support my brother so publicly when Brendan came out. He could have said, hey, this is I'm the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't want to be answering questions about this every week. You're out to your team. You're out privately. Let's keep it at that. And he didn't. He said, Brendan, if you want to go do this, I've got your back. And he's been front and center on this fight ever since then, going on 16 years now. Marched in pride every year, showed up at different events, speaking at functions, donating time, energy, and money to different causes. It's really, really impressive the way that he has used hockey as a vehicle to change the world and improve people's lives. I've heard from a number of people yesterday and today saying exactly that my dad carried their love of hockey through some tough times, or he flat out concretely saved their life in a meaningful way, or influenced their ability, their child at Canuck Place, or just really using hockey as you said, as a vehicle to impact the world in a positive way is something that has always mattered to him.
Interesting about your father too is, everybody has their demo, right? Like, everybody has like the group that, supports them, was with them, and sort of, grows up and exits along with them. Like, I think about your dad's demo. It's not like one demographic, right? It's more like a family reunion. Like, there are so many people from so many different walks of life. Like, I referenced this off the top, and you're saying the same thing here too. Like, so many different areas that your father touched over the years too. Do you have, first of all, I don't know what the time limit is for speeches at the Hall of Fame, but like this one's Moby Dick, right? Like, this one, just thinking about this last night before I went to bed, I'm like, oh man, this, first of all, like, there have been some great speeches that we've seen. Your father's is poised to be one of the best just because of the number of different things that he can talk about. Have you thought about his speech at all?
Yeah, I woke up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night last night thinking about it, and just hoping that he doesn't decide to settle any old scores from the Hall of Fame stage or something. No, look, he's had a number of great influences on his career. He would want me to say specifically that my sisters and my brother were the biggest influences that he had. He's had some great women in his life. My mother, my stepmother, his current partner, who have helped him in any number of different ways over the year to do all of this and accomplish all of this. Gary Bettman, Bill Daly, Lou Lamoriello, Pat Quinn. I think the nice thing about my dad is he's never been shy about thanking people while it's happening. He's a big handwritten thank you note guy, which a lot of people probably wouldn't expect from him. But a lot of people have gotten handwritten notes over the years from him saying, hey, I really appreciated the way you did this, or thank you for taking the time to do this. So maybe we can cut some of the fat from what could be a 3-hour long acceptance speech, because he's done part of it before. We can just focus on some of the highlights and some of the fun stories that have happened to him and because of him over the years, because I think that's what people really love to hear is some of his big moves, big trades, and again, the impact that he had off the ice. Like, he's in the Hall of Fame because of his community work in large part. Like the gold medal or the silver medal, the Stanley Cup, Calder Cup trophy as a player, those are all amazing. His influence as a league executive, all amazing. It's the impact that he's made on hockey as a whole. What fans feel safe coming into our building, what little girls want to lace up their skates because there's a professional league that they can play in. That's why he's going into the Hall. That's why he's a builder, because he's built the game into areas where it previously wasn't making as much of an effort as it is now.
Excellent words. I look forward to having Brian on tomorrow, and I look forward to that speech. And I can't wait to congratulate him personally. I can't talk about.
Can I just say? My big hope is that Kevin Lowe introduces him and we finally get to see a barn fight. I just, Kevin, if you're watching, I don't know who picks who gets to do the nomination speech. Love to have you. You and my dad can just go at it once and for all. We can put this whole thing to bed.
You have no idea how much of a great historical moment that would be. That would get replayed over and over. And that's just on my show. I was like on a loop over and over again. Kevin Lowe.
And to be clear, Kevin, one of the classiest, nicest people in hockey, even when he and my dad were doing that nonsense. When I saw Kevin around the rinks, he was always kind to me and patient with me. There was no like, hey, your dad's being weird, so I've got a problem with you. So love Kevin, just to be clear.
100%. I'm listen. One of my favorite stories of your dad. Maybe you can tell it from your side. You referenced Vancouver, and you were like 14 or 15 years old. I'm not sure if I've asked you about this on the air. Maybe I have. The story about your dad leaving the ice when you and Wayne Gretzky were playing. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. That was the first go round. That was when he was the assistant GM. So I was like 4 or 5.
Oh, you're even younger than that. Okay. Yeah.
So that was the first go round. Like 14, 15 playing with Gretz would be pretty cool. But also there's a little bit, I think Gretz would have been like, get the teenager off the ice. I need to practice. I was a very adorable 4 or 5 year old.
Oh, of course. Yes.
So yeah, that made all the difference. But no, Bob McCammon told my dad to get me out there, get me ready, and he'd have Gretz come out a little bit early, and we could all kind of pass the puck around. And as my dad's told, he stayed out there for a minute or two and then just got off and went and sat on the bench and watched his son skate around with the greatest hockey player of all time. And I think he was hoping some of the skill would rub off, and it did not in any way, shape, or form. So, but yeah, really one of those great moments that you get when your dad works in hockey.
But the kicker of the whole thing is, like, your dad was like, I don't belong on the same ice as Wayne Gretzky. I'm leaving. Like, honestly, like, Patrick, that is the most Brian Burke story of all time. Like, your dad is like, this is the code for this, and this is how you behave here, and like, this is the frame around this painting. Like, this is how we behave in these situations. And in his mind, he didn't belong on the same sheet of ice as Wayne Gretzky, so he got off.
Yeah, I agree. I saw him play. He like it was the right choice. The Gretz didn't need to be like mishandling passes from a 5-year-old and a 40-year-old.
Right.
It was bad enough that I was feeding him bad passes. He didn't need it from both ends. So
I swear.
But this is my dad's a student of the game. He's a historian at heart. That's why he wrote the book, and that's why this means so much to him. Like, the Hall of Fame is meaningful to him because he loves the history. He loves the people who came before us. He loves knowing the stories of the old GMs, the old players, having an appreciation for the people who built the game. And now history is going to recognize him as one of them. And that really means a lot to him.
Okay, so Dad's going to the Hall. I want you to stump for a couple of your colleagues at the DOPS. Ryan Getzlaf and Ray Whitney have pretty much identical stats. If one's going in, do both have to go in?
Two great player safety employees, great friends, great people, great hockey players. I would love to see either or both of them in the Hall of Fame one day. Really tremendous long careers, both won the cup, put up a lot of points, and great off-ice leadership. There's a reason they kept bringing Wiz in to different teams to help square away the locker room and help get different teams over the top and work with young guys. And there's a reason the Ducks built their franchise around Getzy for as long as they did. As an icon and a stalwart there. So both great guys, both great players. Their on-ice track records speak for themselves, and hopefully the Hall's calling them one day.
A final thought about the Department of Player Safety. What's considered a successful year? And was this a successful year for the DOPS?
Yeah, I think at the end of the year, we reflect on the suspensions that we gave out, the suspensions that we didn't. George sits down with the GMs, with coaches, with board of governors, our various stakeholders, and gets feedback from them. But overall, we're really proud of the job that we did this year. Suspensions are slowly trickling down in a way that we think is a good thing. We believe that our education of players is really taking hold, that we've started getting to players at a younger age and leagues at a younger leagues. So players, as they're coming up, are learning how to hit and play the right way. I've been at player safety now for 13 years, and it predates me for a couple of years. But when player safety was founded and started influencing hockey and as a whole, a lot of these players coming into our draft this week were 3-4 years old. They've always grown up with the Department of Player Safety. They've always grown up with Rule 48. They've always grown up understanding the importance of identifying and managing concussions. And I think our league is seeing the payoff of almost 20 years of investment in educating players, changing hearts and minds, and getting guys on board with what we're trying to do.
What do you think when you hear your dad talk about the early days? It wasn't called the Department of Player Safety then, but your dad and one of my favorite stories your dad always tells is, there were like 8 VCRs they had, and the VHS tapes wouldn't fit an entire game. So no suspensions happened in the first period. So they just started charting games and tracking games and recording games starting in the second period, which just boggles your mind thinking about it now. But then again, you think about where the NHL was and where the NHL is. When you hear the old stories of what is now the DOPS when your dad ran it, what goes through your mind? We'll end there.
It's like when your dad talks about how he used to go to drive-ins and listen to 8-track players and like that. It's very back in my day. Because he'll come in. He's come in a few times and spent the night in the room with myself or Damien Echeverrieta. And, we have a person assigned to each game in New York and a person assigned to each game in Toronto. So there's 2 sets of eyes fully monitoring and logging each game from start to finish for different things, obviously. But he's talking about how the VCRs didn't work and he had to pick which games based on the players. And we've got eyes on everything. Anytime hockey's being played, we have someone watching it, monitoring it, reviewing it. We don't miss things. We don't get caught by things. It's just a completely different ballgame. So it is. It's like listening to someone talk about single runner skates and wooden sticks. And it's like, okay, that's great. Like, time to get you back to the home. The VCRs didn't record everything. And you're like, okay, Grandpa, come on, let's go.
The thing is, I can relate to him about the VCRs. Holy smokes, Pat, putting me on my spot too. Congratulations to your father and to the entire Burke family. This is a great experience. I think I speak on behalf of certainly everybody here. Everyone's really happy and everyone's really proud and thrilled that Big Burkey's going in and your whole family gets to be a part of it. And we look forward to the speech and maybe selling a score. Yeah. And I love your Kevin Lowe idea. That'll be the clip. Perfect.
Yeah, of course, that's going to be the clip. Well, thank you. Yeah, very proud of Big Burkey. Grateful for all his friends who have reached out, the number of people who have helped our family over the years, and looking forward to November.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Patrick. Be good.
Thank you. Talk to you.
There he is, Patrick Burke from the NHL's Department of Player Safety. Big Burkey going into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Real quick, Zach, anything in there from the stories or anything about Big Burkey that you didn't know here before we get to Tyler and talk about Babcock? And we got to get to some trade talk because that's a lot of what the people want as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that he was offered a position full-time with USA Hockey, and in whatever capacity that was. I just didn't know that had taken place.
GM.
And for him to say, we want to make sure that, or he wants to make sure that other people have an opportunity, and it's a competitive position, and he doesn't want to just sit atop of the ladder, wants to make sure everyone else has an opportunity to get there, I think is pretty commendable. It's very, very Brian Burke of him to do, and that was pretty cool to hear. That was something I didn't know, and something I learned from Patrick there. Also, just quickly, because I know Tyler's coming up here as well. Yeah, Kevin Lowe at the
it's got to be Kevin Lowe
all time.
It's got to be Kevin Lowe. Honestly, please, Lowe's already in. Please, Hall of Fame, do the right thing here. Get Kevin Lowe. Get Kevin Lowe to induct Brian Burke. That would just be, and they can just take their jackets off and roll up their sleeves. The place would go. Just let me produce the segment. That's all I'm asking. Just get Kevin Lowe. Let us produce the segment. Me and Philly can do the whole thing. Everyone will love it. Before we get to Tyler, let's hear a couple of words here from our friends at Airbnb. Hey, Zach, summer's on the horizon, and, we've spent a lot of time on the road this year, but here's my question to you. Zach, what would your ultimate summer road trip be? Go.
For me, summer is all about golfing, getting out on the course. So going back to places that we just went to and just visited, like Banff and the Okanagan, I think that would be the ultimate getaway with some of those incredible courses, beautiful weather, the scenery. It's some of the best that you can find.
It's some of the best that this country has to offer. Now, for me, it's easy. New Brunswick. Specifically St. Stephen. Now, my background. When my family immigrated here to Canada in the 1800s from Ireland, that's where they settled. I went there earlier this year when you and I were in St. John and took a little side trip. It's gorgeous there. I spent the day. I could see myself actually living there one day. Now, after New Brunswick, Montreal. So here's the deal. For me, Montreal is the one place in Canada where you wake up, you decide what kind of day you want to have, and the city allows you to do it. The festivals, the concerts, the patios, the people, the cobblestone streets of old Montreal, street performers, you name it, it really is the best. And honestly, those kinds of trips are exactly why I love booking homes on Airbnb. You actually feel like you're part of the place instead of just passing through. And that's when it hit me. While I'm busy blending in with the locals, why not let another traveler do the same? After all, while we're gone, our place back home is just sitting there. So hosting our place on Airbnb could be a way to make use of that space on our own schedule and maybe have a little extra coming in at the same time. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.ca/host. Okay, let's bring him aboard. One of the big pieces of news today, the Edmonton Oilers making it official. Mike Babcock is their new head coach. DJ Smith comes aboard as an assistant, to which Tyler Yaremchuk, by the way, you look like in a very nice, cozy den there. I really like that.
It is nice.
Nice little rustic flavor there. So what do you make of it? I mean, this is we've known this is coming. There was the investigation by the NHL, and the NHL essentially said, like, we don't like it, but there's nothing here that's disqualifying. We've had coaches do weird things before. We may not be a fan of it. The PA has raised a lot of flags, but we can't keep the guy from working. So we've known we're going to get to this day. Here is this day. What do you think?
So the rant I kind of had at the end of Daily Faceoff Live today, because the chat was like, why aren't you talking about it more? Why aren't you talking about it more? My thing was, we've been talking about it for 3 weeks. Like, do I think this is a smart move? No, I think it comes with a lot of risk, especially when you consider the type of season and how consequential the next 12 months are for this Oilers franchise. Like, if the next year goes bad, it could be bye-bye Connor McDavid. And to risk it all on Mike Babcock, who, I mean, last time he won a playoff series, it was 2 years before Connor McDavid even began his NHL career, 2 or 3 years when he last won a Stanley Cup. Connor McDavid and myself were in the 3rd grade. Like, it's been a long time since Mike Babcock has been, a part of a winning NHL team. So to go and hire a guy who there are legitimate question marks on, like, has he adapted and can he coach in the new NHL? Like, there are question marks purely from a coaching perspective here, and then to bring on a guy with the question marks and the baggage, it's like, why are you signing up for all of this?
One of the things that I'm curious about here, because now that, like, all the players that had issue with Mike Babcock when he was a coach, players while they're playing, no one's coming out and ripping them, right? You're concerned about your spot, you're concerned about your job, you're concerned about the next day. Like, it just doesn't happen. A lot of those ex-players now are broadcasters, or a lot of these ex-players now are completely out of the game and aren't shy, whether it's Daniel Winnick, whether it's most recently Aaron Ward, whether it's Jason York, I mean, and there's Frankie Corrado. Like, there's a long list of players, and these are just the ones that have gone public. Or, like, everybody has a variation of, like, Mike Babcock. And I should say, it's not all negative, but the negative stories are pretty bad. Like, now, all of a sudden, these stories are becoming public. And the one thing that we haven't heard from Mike Babcock, and I'm not asking you to put words in his mouth, obviously, I'm just wondering whether you share the same interest. We haven't heard him apologize for any of it. Do we expect that at the presser?
I would like to hear some iteration of it. Jason Greger put together a really good piece a couple of weeks back at OilersNation.com where he basically compiled like 5 of these Mike Babcock stories from ex-players. And then at the end, and I'm going to have to paraphrase a bit here because I don't have the story in front of me, but Babcock had a quote where it was something like, people misremember things, or the truth isn't always like how it comes out. And it was like, the opportunities he's had where it's on a tee for him to just, honestly, like, even if you don't mean it, how do you not understand that if you come out and go, I know that I've made some mistakes in the past and I've hurt people and I'm willing to change and adapt. Like, I want to hear that from Mike Babcock when he speaks to the media in 25 minutes. And like, our guy Gregor's going to hold his feet to the fire. Like, I don't think Babcock is going to get a bunch of softballs from the Edmonton media here. Like, he's going to get asked about some things, and he's going to have an opportunity to show that he's maybe grown a little bit.
Isn't the first question, do you feel you have anything to apologize for? Or you've heard the criticism from various players. What would you like to say to Daniel Winnick, Aaron Ward, Johan Franzen? Take your pick. Because we haven't heard that.
No, we haven't. I just don't think we're going to get it. And listen, I'm someone who's been around the U Sports scene in Canada the last 9 seasons. I did play-by-play, and Babcock went back to the University of Saskatchewan, and I heard stories about the way he treated some support staff at the University of Saskatchewan that weren't good. So it's like, okay, the Columbus thing, maybe he grew from that. Well, no, he went to the University of Saskatchewan, and I heard similar stories. So I don't know. I'm not optimistic on this thing. And listen, could Mike Babcock, like, he's obviously a great hockey mind, or was a great hockey mind. Like, you don't put together the resume that he did and coach the teams that he did to the level of success that he did by being like clueless. But I'm just really curious with how it went in Toronto on the ice, and then with how it went in Columbus off the ice. Is this guy capable of coaching in the NHL in 2026? That is such a big question for me.
And we don't know. Like, look, I've said from day one, I hope that this all works out for the Oilers. I hope that Mike Babcock does at least some kind of mea culpa and tries to come to grips with his past and how he's treated individuals. No one wants to see anyone go through life like that. If he can, come to some type of understanding with the people that he's done wrong to previously, and can help lead the Edmonton Oilers to a Stanley Cup, drama-free, right? Mind game-free, controversy-free. I think that's the best case scenario for everybody. It's just such a swing for the fence. I don't know, man. And I think I think legitimately everyone has the right to be skeptical.
I agree with that. And I get some people will point to Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, and Leon Draisaitl. They sat down, they hashed it out with him. If they're on board, they know the room better than any of us. And I get that, but the pessimistic side of me would sit there and go, one, we know Mike Babcock can be a good salesman, so that's a factor in all of this. Like, are the Oilers stars really kidding themselves if they think a 30-minute conversation with Mike Babcock, where he's trying to put his best foot forward and trying to get this job? You think he's being totally honest with you in all of this? Like, no, I don't really believe that. And also, Mike Babcock's problem has rarely ever been with the Connor McDavids and the Leon Draisaitls of the team he coaches. You could say maybe Mitch Marner in that incident, but that was him kind of abusing his power over a young rookie player that he was trying to, establish culture, whatever he was trying to do there. Like, Mike Babcock, when he starts as Oilers head coach, he's not going to have issues with Connor and Leon. It's the guys lower down this lineup where issues could come. So you'd hope that the Oilers leadership group had those players in mind and maybe spoke with some of those players. But again, it's just yucky. It feels gross.
So here's what I wonder about. If you bring in a coach where players like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman have to have a meeting like that with him to get that kind of buy-in or understanding from that coach, here becomes the question. If you're Mike Babcock, then, are you in a position now, after being grilled by these players who are essentially deciding whether you're coming or not, even though, players don't hire coaches, I get it, executives hire coaches, owners hire coaches. If you're Mike Babcock, do you do now what the players want, or do you do what you want and let the chips fall where they may? Like, the dynamic now, when you have, because I'm of the same mind as you, and this sounded like a really intense meeting, and everything that people have told me about this have been like, they went at Mike hard about everything. Okay, but if you have to have a meeting like that, what happens to the dynamic between the coach and those star players? And does that put Babcock in a position where he's got to do what they want, not what he wants? I don't know.
But when they come out of that meeting, and apparently, you know, when Connor and Leon go to Stan Bowman and say like, hey, he's our guy, and what was the line we were hearing, that they want to be pushed, to me that says that they came away from that conversation with Mike Babcock and almost went like, you know what, we want Mike Babcock. Like I didn't come out of this going, oh, they want Mike Babcock to show that he's changed and can be the players coach. Like very clearly they want to be pushed. They want a bit of a hard ass here. So I that's why, again, I think we might be getting the Mike Babcock of old and not some softened, changed version of him. And again, hopefully there's a line and a balance here where he knows like what is and isn't okay in the way he treats players and people around the organization. I think that second part is really important in all of this as well. But I think the players are signing up for this fully knowing the kind of coach they're getting here. And honestly, I don't think Connor and Leon want him to be soft. I think they want him to be the demanding, hard-nosed Mike Babcock coach that he's been his whole career.
It's going to be fascinating. Like I just can't help but think like, what happens when, you know, the Oilers go on a 5-game losing streak and all of it is because of the goaltending.
And Tristan Jarry, you can, you know, there's stories about the way it went in Pittsburgh and his relationship with Mike Sullivan and how that totally cratered Jarry's confidence and his ability to be an NHL goalie. Like, what happens if Tristan Jarry has 5 bad games to start the year? Like, what are we getting into here? Like, there's so many different ways. What about the young players? How's Ike Howard going to fit into this lineup with a coach like Mike Babcock? There's so many factors.
Again, the what ifs. What happens when Stan Bowman trades for a player and Babcock won't play him?
Yeah, and you know, we obviously, there's been some conflicting stuff in terms of like, oh, our player's going to want to play there, and then a bunch of agents come out and say, oh, we're going to have no problem.
They re-signed guys. Like, look, Dickinson just like they've re-signed, and there doesn't seem to be any. I don't know. It's funny too because I was wondering if there's going to be a Babcock tax. Like, okay, if I'm going to go back there, I'm going to need this plus, but there's no Babcock tax. And I see your chance to play with Con. Like, this is still an elite team. Regardless of what happened against the Anaheim Ducks, this is still an elite team, and your chance to win a Stanley Cup is still really good in Edmonton. So I don't know if that's a factor. I don't.
I am curious because we're going to spend some time on the show today talking about, you know, the Columbus Blue Jackets as a trade partner for the Oilers, and that's where this gets weird because like Liam and I had been very big Kent Johnson guys. We're like, oh, Kent Johnson, that's like a Podkolzin-esque reclamation project for the Oilers. Then it's like, if he was there, so I don't know if that'll work. And Kirill Marchenko's name's popping up today, and then it's like, oh, but I mean, he was kind of there, so that's weird. Like, I don't think it's as big of an issue as some people were initially making it, but I think there'll be a few players who will go like, I'm not interested in playing for that guy. But the counterpoint to end on this, like, there's an argument that, hey, if you're going into free agency and there are guys who are scared to play for Mike Babcock, are those the guys you want? I don't know. That's
an excellent point too. That's another great point. Really quick before I let you go and listen, you got your own show here coming up in a couple of seconds with Liam. What happens with Darnell Nurse?
I mean, I think the trade is going to happen. I think we're past the point of no return. There was a little bit of talk in Edmonton last week where it was like, oh, maybe with Mike Babcock and DJ Smith, they think they can. And I'm going, no, this is too public. Like, he's getting moved. And based on the reports I've been reading and the people I talk to, I think there's a chance they get out of this thing relatively clean. It's just a matter of what they want back. If they want to chase a somewhat decent asset, then they're going to have to do what Chicago did and keep $2 to $2.5 million, and maybe they'll get a good young player that they can plop into their lineup. Like, that is entirely possible. But I think the most likely outcome here is that the Oilers just want to get out of it clean. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's Darnell Nurse at full board for a very little return.
Or yes. And if a team picks up the full freight, then I think, you know, whether there's, you know, draft picks that are contingent based on his performance and points, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I've wondered about, you know, Elias Pettersson trades where it's, you know, take a bad contract, second round picks that can turn into firsts based on how many points you get. Like, it just might end up being one of those. It might just end up, because to me, like, the big question here is not so much what you get for Darnell Nurse, but what you do with the cap space.
And that's where I think a lot of people will point to the blue line and say, well, how do you replace Nurse's minutes? I think the plan next year is to have a top four. That's Ekholm, Bouchard, Jake Wallman, who they're paying $7 million starting next season, and Connor Murphy. And I think they'll just kind of go like, hey, we'll get someone for the third pair. Maybe it's a vet. And if we have to address it at the deadline, we will. I think any money that they're taking in terms of savings, they're not going and signing Mario Ferraro with it, or at least I'd be stunned, or someone of that ilk. I think they're going to try to get a big fish up front and try to add a big forward.
Don't disagree. Okay, thanks for parking time today. Big day around Oilers land. We should mention too, like, there is the Mike Babcock of it all, and then here comes the players guy and DJ Smith, who everyone loves. It's a nice.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually really like that DJ Smith hire. I think they paid him a boatload of money to take this job, but he had some young players that he developed really well in LA. That is something the Oilers need to do well. And 5-on-5 defense, that is something the Oilers have struggled with. They need a guy who can instill those two things. So the DJ Smith part actually does kind of excite me.
What happens the first time Babcock says, Connor, put your stick down in the defensive zone. No more skating around with your stick up, or we're going to nail your butt to the bench. We'll see what happens then. Then we'll see what happens.
And again, like, these guys better know what they're signing up for. Leon Draisaitl, the one thing that I think Oilers fans across the board will say drives them nuts, he will start a line change 50 feet from the bench, and he will coast on in. And it has cost them. It's cost them too many men penalties. And, like, I know Connor and Leon, they are two of the best players in the world. That, like, who am I to take a shot or to pick apart their game? They have a couple of things that I think a hard-nosed coach will look at and go, you're not doing that under my watch anymore. So I hope they know what they signed up for.
Today we're practicing line changes. Shades of Scotty Bowman, 1977. Here we go. All right. Good stuff, Tyler. Enjoy the show today. Thanks, pal.
Thank you.
Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation Every Day and Daily Faceoff Live. Really quickly, Canadian Blood Services. Want to get the trade talk here in a second, folks. But first, Canadian Blood Services. This is Game Changer. Game Changers is presented by Canadian Blood Services. A presentation of Canadian Blood Services, who invites you to experience what giving feels like in a world that can feel isolating and divided. Blood and plasma donation offers something rare and fulfilling: real connection, real purpose, real impact. Every summer, people across Canada get swept up in the excitement of the season. The donations can tend to slip, but the need doesn't. This is a moment to rally together as a nation and for new donors to experience firsthand what you get when you give. At a moment when many Canadians are looking for positive ways to show up for one another, Canadian Blood Services is issuing an invitation to new donors. Yes, you, if you haven't done it before and you qualify. Fill every donation share in the country this summer. Book at blood.ca through the Give Blood app or call 1-888 to donate, 1-888 to donate. We're going to talk about Keaton Verhoff here in a second, but if you've never given blood before, what was my last donation? How long did it take? 8 minutes. My last bleed time was 8 minutes. Before that, it was 7 minutes. So it's not that long. This is something that's really personal and special to me and my family, and we encourage you either through the Give Blood app or at blood.ca, 1-888 to donate. Today's game changer as we lead up to the draft on Friday, round 1, is Keaton Verhoff. I am a big fan of Keaton Verhoff, right-hand defenseman. Sorry, Victoria Royals fans last year left to go to North Dakota. There was a lot of talk about him actually going to Michigan. But he ended up going to play with teammate Cole Reshny from North Dakota. He is the cousin of Kirby and Colton Dock. He is a large player, ladies and gentlemen. Coached by Hall of Fame forward Jerome Iginla at Rink Hockey Academy. Has billeted with the Iginla family. And here's the interesting thing about him. He could go, I don't know, what do you figure, 3, 4? He's probably a top 5 draft pick, if not 5, maybe in that number 6 spot, but he's going high. He was a goalie, Zach, until he was 11 years old. Now, the interesting thing about Verhoff is he could have stayed in the CHL and played at Victoria and done great. Like, we've talked a lot about Daxon Rudolph and how great he did in PA. We've talked a lot about, yesterday we talked about Carson Karls and how great he did it at Prince George. Keaton Verhoff could have stayed at Victoria. He put himself in a more difficult position, playing against older, stronger players, and that exposed a lot of the warts in his game. So now, as a scout, you measure off, you know, it's the same thing as Gavin McKenna. He could have gone back to Medicine Hat and rewrote record books, for crying out loud, put himself in a more difficult situation. So factor that in when you talk about Keaton Verhoff. Remember we had him on? Remember how great he was? Like, what a great personality he is.
He's really good. Yeah, he was really good. It was really enjoyable to listen to him here on the show. That was a guy that I had a close eye on for a while, Jeff, because I was thinking, hey, maybe there's a shot that the Leafs fall somewhere in that top 5. We get them. Now the sights are a little higher at number 1 for Toronto, but still even a fun player to watch. And it was cool seeing him at the World Juniors too. You know, a kid out there, very much a kid out there still getting an opportunity and made the most of it there for Canada.
Absolutely. Okay. Trade talk. This whole week is just about trade. Tomorrow we're back on the trade train, and Thursday as well. Just fire them out at me, and we'll have a chin wag about all of it here. So whether it's players, whether it's teams, we'll just do one of those. Empty the brain, empty the notebook. What's top of your mind? Or if anyone in the chat has any questions about players specifically or teams specifically, go for it.
Okay, yeah, so I'll prompt the chat there as well. You guys send those in, and I'll read them to Jeff as they come through. But I want to start with the one that's most interesting to me because he's popped up here in the last little while. Some teams looking for a player like this. Maybe he's an American player in a Canadian market. That's Connor McDavid. Just curious thoughts on potential landing spots, what Winnipeg would be looking for, all encompassing around Connor McDavid.
Well, first thing they'd be looking for is a netminder. Right, and that's why I think a lot of people have wondered about, bluntly. I think that's if you're Kevin Cheveldayoff right now. First of all, this is such a tricky and sensitive move to make if you're going to make it this offseason. And as the days continue to pass here, it looks more and more like Connor McDavid's days are done in Winnipeg. First thing they will need is a decision on which direction they are going. Because even though there wasn't playoffs last year for the Winnipeg Jets, I don't know there is much of an appetite for a rebuild. They thought about that. They considered a rebuild, and they looked over the edge of the cliff, and they didn't like what the business said. It's a building that has to be full for this thing to work. You know, and when the attendance softened, we saw the commissioner show up in Winnipeg, sort of, you know, whether it's to cajole the business community or whatever it was. But this is a team that does not look right now like it can go through any type of sophisticated rebuild. So when you're moving your arguably number one asset in Connor McDavid, you got to say to yourself, okay, are we going rebuild here? Are we taking a small step back? Or are we trying just to get players of relatively equal value so we can still take a shot at this thing in the Central Division? Knowing full well, Colorado ain't going anywhere. Dallas ain't going anywhere. Minnesota ain't going anywhere. And they've lapped you at this point. And there are other teams that are about to lap you. So what they need back, first thing they will need is a goaltender. And that's why a lot of teams are marrying them to the Buffalo Sabres, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen perhaps. I'm told that Buffalo likes their goaltending. That the Buffalo Sabres like their goaltending. I know that the goalies got a little bit leaky, and Luukkonen specifically got leaky, but what they chalk it up to, and it's true, that was his first time in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that was Luukkonen's first shot at the playoffs. You're going to make your mind up about Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in the playoffs based on his first time in the playoffs? So no. So first thing they'd be looking for in any trade is to get a goaltender back. I think that's where any trade begins. And then it's a matter of what your philosophy is. Are we trying to get players to play now, or are we trying to get younger players and picks?
I just hope the one word people use to describe me is never leaky. That's regardless of context. I don't.
You've heard it before. The goalie was leaky. Oh, geez.
No, I know.
Goalie was leaking.
Okay, there's a couple in the chat, so I'm going to get to some of those, but there's another one that I want to get to from my own personal curiosity first, team-wise.
Okay.
The Chicago Blackhawks. I think the way you've described some other teams, heavy green bananas.
They want players. Yeah, they're done. Like, listen, I was saying this to Tyler. I think I was saying this to Tyler on DFO Live today. There's a reason why Jack Pridham said, like, I'm not signing. There's just too many young players in front of him. Like, there's just too much blocking that happens. And right now, even though a lot of people there will say, like, oh, no, there's no pressure. It's just, just slowly getting better here. We're looking long term. They have to be better this year. Like, the Chicago Blackhawks need to see a return on investment. This team needs to be competitive. Like competitive in the sense of how San Jose was competitive last year. That's how Chicago needs to be. Like they need to see some improvement here, and they need to start to look at their younger players and even their 4th overall draft pick as an asset to get players to move this thing forward right now. ASAP. They have enough done in the rebuild that internal development is going to happen, but they need players. I don't think it would surprise anybody to see Jason Robertson. I know the Matthew Nyes rumors have been out there once again. Could the Maple Leafs look at the 4th overall pick for Matthew Nyes? I know I keep beating my head against the wall saying, why would you let go of Matthew Nyes? Why would you even entertain the idea? Why would you even entertain the idea of letting go of someone like that? But if Chicago can put together that package, I think, like, honestly, Zach, like, remove the whole Maple Leafs out of it for you and the emotion attached to it. Think of the package Chicago could put together for Matthew Nyes. And you could see Matthew Nyes playing with Connor McDavid tomorrow in your head.
Yeah.
You know that. I just don't know why Maple Leafs
sure.
want to let that player go.
Yeah, that's what I keep coming back to. And even like removing the fan aspect of it, where like I'm a major fan of Matthew Nyes and the player that he is. The other thing I look at on the flip side is what is Toronto getting in return that satisfies the needs for right now, right? Because it seems like they're trying to win. That's why you signed Darren Radish to an 8-year deal at 30 years old. That's why you are looking to potentially be in on Sergei Bobrovsky if that's what's happening right now. Like, why are you going to go out and move off of a 23-year-old and just end at picks and stuff? But that's just my thoughts on that. Okay, going to the chat here and questions there asking and teams they're looking at. I'll group these guys together because I was going to ask you about each individually, but the St. Louis Blues. So what are your thoughts on the St. Louis Blues? And I mean, there's two obvious ones that I think you know where I'm going with, Binnington and Kyrou, but just all around, what's up with St. Louis?
I think, honestly, would anyone be surprised if the St. Louis Blues put together an offer sheet for someone? Would anybody be surprised if St. Louis played the offer sheet game? Again, I always go back to, and this is where I'm going to go to with Nashville. If you're Alex Steen, you've been thinking about this for a long time. You've been the GM in waiting for a long time. So you've been planning for this. This isn't like all of a sudden Alex Steen becomes the general manager. And what's the first thing a manager always says? Well, I need to get to know the organization. I'm going to take my time and get to know it. No. Like all of that is gone. And you've just been, working alongside one of the more aggressive general managers that we've seen, and someone that did a real number on Edmonton with a couple of offer sheets too. So it's not as if the St. Louis Blues are one of the teams that are like, no, offer sheets don't get you anywhere. I mean, offer sheets don't get you anywhere. You got two premier players. So I really wonder if there's a team out there, like I wonder about Carolina and offer sheets, but that's been there before. And I wonder about the St. Louis Blues with offer sheets. And when we think about offer sheets, like, look, we'll see what happens with Dallas and Jason Robertson. And if they sign him to a monster contract, what's that going to mean for Maverick Burke? I think we wonder about that. Leo Carlson, even though Anaheim does have the cap space to do it, to bring him back, there's whoppers of contracts that are on the horizon for them, starting with Cutter Gauthier. So I wonder if you could put together like a massive offer sheet for the Anaheim Ducks and to Leo Carlson of the Anaheim Ducks. But I see St. Louis using all available tools, and that does include offer sheets for Alex Steen. Again, he's been waiting for this for how long? I have a hard time believing that he gets the keys to the Chevy and goes, yeah, I'm good for a while. I'm going to take summer off. No chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
Okay.
And they got 3 first-round picks.
Team.
And they got, three first-round picks, I believe. They got 3. Yeah, 3 in the first.
True.
3 in the first round.
Yes.
They make all those picks.
Do you think that it's the same situation in St. Louis as what Brent Wallace presented, where if they make all 3 picks, they ride it?
No, Ottawa's a little more. Ottawa's really sensitive right now. There's no way. Like Ottawa's got to do this here. They got to do this in the playoffs.
I know. Okay, Canadian team, not Ottawa, but we can go there after if you want. The Vancouver Canucks, and specifically, I'm looking at Elias Pettersson.
Yeah,
and it sounds
doable.
like things are kind of getting hot here right now on him.
I know it may seem like it's not a doable contract. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a doable trade. The team that I keep coming back to here. Let me grab this here. So the team that I keep coming back to with the Vancouver Canucks and Elias Pettersson are the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I know everyone's going like, but Jim Rutherford's not there anymore. Patrick Allvin's not there anymore. All they want to do was make trades with their previous team, blah, blah, blah. I understand all that. I was saying this to Pagnotta the other day. Like, nobody thinks that Elias Pettersson is an $11 million player. Okay, no one thinks that. But is he a $6 million player? Because if you send the Ryan Graves contract back the other way, he's a $6 million player. And if part of the compensation is 2 second-round draft picks that can turn into 2 first-round draft picks for Elias Pettersson, and you escape from that contract, and the 2 second-round picks turn into first based on performance, is that not a way you get the Elias Pettersson deal done? You just, if you're Vancouver, you got to take on a bad deal, but it's 3 years for Ryan Graves. You have 2 seconds that can turn into first, and you get out from under the weight of Elias Pettersson. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, a reclamation project, and you know how much Dubas loves that. And he's done a great job with it too. And helping that is you get Elias Pettersson in the dressing room with Sidney Crosby. And you get him out of that hot market. Some players are made for markets like that, some aren't.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Interesting. The Jason Robertson thing, I'm going to try to tie a connection here back to Ottawa. That one was immediately connected once it happened.
Of course. Played junior hockey in the OHL with Kingston. It was a Frontenac, 50 goals. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to try to throw 2 at you here at once, and might take us down 2 different paths. But Jason Robertson, the Ottawa Senators, do you see a connection there? Do you see the 2 teams getting together? Do you see a landing spot for Jason Robertson outside of that? And then, if that's the case, do you see another target that the Ottawa Senators pursue?
Mason McTavish, and that's the relationship with him as a Bulldog. Look, I think that, whatever has happened with Mason McTavish, whether it
from Ottawa too, right?
Wasn't he born originally in Switzerland and then the family moved here? Do a quick bio check on him, but could be grew up in Ottawa. Played for the Peterborough Petes. Played for the
played for the Ottawa Valley Titans.
There you go. So he's an Ottawa kid. Steos knows. I think he lived with Steos when he made the trade from Peterborough to the Bulldogs. Steos always loved them. It's not working out, obviously, with McTavish, so that makes some sense there. I don't know that Robertson wants to play in Ottawa, or wants to sign a contract long term with the Ottawa Senators. I think a lot of us, and I include myself here, wonder about the Detroit Red Wings and whether a Dylan Larkin trade, with those 2 being the primaries, could work. I'm getting conflicting ideas whether, and again, this is all going to come down to the price point for Jason Robertson. I don't know that Detroit likes him at 14. I think Detroit would probably like him at 12. Part of this too is, and what I was told is it's scaring some other teams off. How, if you're going to try to make a deal with him, how hard is he hanging on to the number 14? And here's the other thing. If that's $14 million in a no-tax state of Texas, what's that number in Michigan?
Yeah. Does anybody want him at 14? I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the player, but that's I don't know. I don't love him at that number in general.
I know.
In a no-state tax.
I get it.
No-tax state.
I get it. I know. I don't disagree. But he's got a compelling case. Goals are hard to score. Jason Robertson scores goals, and they love him in Dallas. But here's the thing. If you give him that number, does that mean, first of all, here's your decision. If you give him that number, you're making a decision on Maverick Bourque or someone else of significance on your roster. I think this is all done by Friday, by the way. I think this is all of it is done, like the Robertson thing finally, and we started talking about this on July 1 on this program last year. I think it hits a crescendo on Friday or by Friday. I think Jim Nill wants this thing done by Friday. Like we're in
my
we're
phone.
Out. We've gone as far as possible.
My phone at this point, Jeff, every time it beeps, I'm like snapping my head to see what's going on because I'm just expecting trades to come through. I want to make sure we can talk about it, whatever it may be. I don't know how many more you want to do, but I want to throw one more at you at minimum here because this guy came up recently. I think it kind of raised some eyebrows from some people saying, "Oh, that's interesting that would happen here now." But it was Zach Werenski. It's not necessarily that he said I want out, but his name's become a little bit more active, and whether that's just people on social media or what, it's out there, and it's a real name that's being discussed in trade possibilities right now.
This is a super sensitive one, obviously. I think if you're a general manager right now, more so than ever, as you're watching like relationships decay, whether it is the most obvious one is Dylan Larkin with Steve Yzerman, the relationship between Steve Staios and Tkachuk, watching that decay. I think right now, more so than ever, part of your job is knowing which of your players want to stay and which ones want to go. And you can't let it linger. Columbus might be a little bit different, though. Because, man, I'll tell you, I feel so bad for, and I really want Columbus to do well. I think we all do. Like, I think we all have a soft spot in our heart for the Columbus Blue Jackets. They can't take a step back at this point.
Yeah,
they just can't. You know, Adam Fantilli is right there. I know that, you know, Tyler was talking about Ken Johnson a second ago. There's a much better player in there. There was a down year for a lot of their players, but I don't think that fan base can be false started anymore. It's got to stop. Like you have to stop false starting this team. And that's why if you're Don Waddell, I think you're probably having that conversation. Maybe you already have. Like, Don's a smart general manager. You probably had the conversation like, okay, your contract's up in a couple of years. Are you still committed to the Columbus Blue Jackets? And if the answer is I don't know, then the answer is no. If the answer is yes, then great. But I don't know means no. And then you have to act accordingly. Yeah. It's a tough one because they got to get to the playoffs. And they've been close. And that fan base can't be false started anymore.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to ask this one. Here's
another one. Nashville. No, they made the Ross Colton move way too quiet. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of veteran players on this team. And we've gone over the obvious ones, Jonathan Marchessault and Steven Stamkos and Ryan O'Reilly. At various times, we've talked about UC Saros. Here's my question. If you are Roman Josi, what are you thinking right now? New manager comes in. This group has probably gone to the end of what they're going to do, need to rebuild this team. What are you thinking if you're Roman Josi? Now, complicating all of it with a team like Nashville and a no-tax state, you got to know that if you want to go somewhere else to win, chances are you're going to be paid less money because you're going to a taxed state. Unless Roman Josi is going to go to Florida or Dallas.
I was going to say
Vegas.
He's going to put out a list. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I'd like to be traded. I'll go to Vegas, Florida, Tampa.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
You think you can make that happen?
That's one of the players that I wonder about here. That really hasn't. At times we've wondered about it, but right now, where it seems like everything is up in the air and everything's up for grabs, how do we not wonder about Roman Josi here too? Mm-hmm. Like, you got to ask guys, like, are you signing up for a rebuild? And it's the same for Philip Forsberg. All these guys.
Yeah.
You got a new coach, man. Or a new general manager. New general manager. So, to me, Nash, and the thing about Chris McFarland too is he hit the ground calling everybody right away. This guy is not like like landing the plane slowly here. He's like landing, getting out, and getting on his phone, calling everybody. This is Chris McFarland's an active general manager. I would watch Nashville.
I mean this not to poke fun at you. This is genuinely what's happening right now. We got to keep an eye on the NHL. Like, we just got to keep an eye on everybody.
You got to keep an eye. You're right. Watch everybody right now. Every single team could do something massive right now. And listen, the wheels are greased.
That's not an exaggeration.
Wheels are greased for it all to happen. Right?
Yeah.
And it's just like the minute Brady Tkachuk goes, everyone's like, all right, big boys are going. Here we go. Look what Bill Zito just did. All right. Tampa, over to you.
That's what, like, every waking moment I look online, every team is being rumored to be interested in someone, or their players are subjects of another team's interest. So it's like at any given moment here, Jeff, I feel like every team in the NHL could do something big. Again, I don't say that to make funny, because I know that you finished that by saying we got to keep an eye on that team. But it's just
keep an eye on everybody. You're right.
We literally just got to keep an eye on everybody right now. It is crazy.
Here's another thing to keep an eye on. Elliott tweeting this from the Board of Governors. Gary Bettman informing the board they will be opening a process to investigate Houston or Austin, Texas for an expansion franchise. Man, this goes back to when Minnesota moved to Dallas, and Dallas was promised a state rival. It's taken this long for this to happen. By the way, I don't know if this is true anymore, but for the longest time, you know where the sneaky getaway was for NHL players who didn't want to go to like anywhere like down south for like, if you weren't going to All-Star, you just wanted to like go and like party for a few days and not be recognized. You know where the guys would go?
Houston?
Austin.
Okay.
You put an NHL team there, a bunch of guys go like, oh man, that's our spot.
Yeah, come on.
Don't wreck Austin for us. Come on, Gary.
Yeah.
Don't wreck it. Oh, come on, man. That's our getaway spot, man. Jeez, come on, Gary. Yeah, it's always been their getaway party spot. I don't know if that's true now. It was not too long ago. That was for years the place where NHL players could go, let down their hair, and no one would know who they were. And they could act accordingly.
I've never been, but I've heard it's a lot of fun. So
Austin's awesome.
Somewhere I've got to check out. Yes.
Texas in general is fantastic. Texas is just great. Humid though. Feel like your shirt sticking to you.
Imagine.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got anything else to do? Should we move along here and let people get on with their day?
Yeah, I'll go with one more here. It was Victoria asked in the chat, and it's kind of related to something Wish put out yesterday. He put out the order of operations in which he believed things could happen with Alex Tuch, and he listed off that Alex Tuch resigns was the least likely option. The second option for him was that he has a sign and trade situation, so a team could get an 8th year, and then the final was that he goes to free agency on July 1st. What do you see happening with Alex Tuch?
Free agency. Although I do wonder about Seattle with Alex Tuch. Botterill's taking big swings, man, and they need goals. They need goals there. And if all it's going to cost you is a contract and you don't have to surrender a player the other way or a pick, Botterill's taking swings. We saw, Mackie Samoskevich comes in. I like that deal for Seattle because he has untapped potential. So that's not one of those, we know what we're getting here. We're gambling a little bit on the player. I like that. But with Tuch, yeah, man, this team needs goals. This team really does, and needs another top 6 forward. So I could see Seattle in there for Tuch. And again, like I've been mentioning for a while here, the belief is that he wants to go west. Right. If he's not re-signing with Buffalo, which again seems more and more distant.
Interesting. All right.
Hope that satisfies Victoria.
Yeah. I didn't think about Seattle. Interesting. Okay.
Yep. I mean, really, I would love to see him play on Edmonton. I think Edmonton's a great fit.
Yeah.
But is Alberta, well, it is a no-tax state, no provincial tax. Is Alberta no tax state like Florida? They have no provincial sales tax. That's about it.
Wasn't there, you can correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there something where Jonathan Huberdeau, when he was traded to Florida, he got rid of his like Porsches and Lamborghinis and stuff, and he bought a pickup truck? Or was that just like a joke that was made?
Well, I was told that he loved playing in Florida. Like he had, I don't know how many convertibles, but he loved like the lifestyle and like being in the warmth, like all of, like he just loved it. I haven't heard the pickup truck story, but from the guys there that I talked to, they're like, yeah, man, felt bad because Huberdeau really loved it there. Really loved it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Every now and then I walk outside here downtown Toronto in like the middle of January, and I'm like, living in Florida wouldn't be so bad. And driving a golf cart and playing beyond the golf course right now, like I wouldn't hate that.
Look, we've talked about this before. I enjoy the cold. I enjoy being cold. Like maybe it's a weird thing to say, but I enjoy the cold. I do. I enjoy that we have 4 distinct seasons here, and cold winter just happens to be one of them. I enjoy warm summers. I enjoy soggy springs. Autumn is my favorite season. It's great. I love it. Jeans and a hoodie. Perfect. That's awesome. And then winter comes and it's cold. I like it. I enjoy it. Yeah, you're not old enough to appreciate this stuff. Just a kid that wants to be warm and party and have fun.
I'm just like, oh no, it's winter. I have to wear pants and a hoodie. Oh no, I think I'm okay with that.
All right, here we go. Let's see what you come up with today. NHL season may be done, but FanDuel is still your home for all the action on and off the ice. From Blue Line to BetSlip, we got you covered all season. Unique promos, live offerings, more features to let you play your game. For example, if you missed puck drop when the games are on, no sweat. Live same game parlay takes care of you. Build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly. 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge.
This is thanks to the creativity of our friends at FanDuel. People are going to look at me and say, what the hell are you doing right now? And that is completely fair. But FanDuel put up Darren Radish markets. Darren Radish specials for the 2026-2027 season. I looked at this and I just started laughing. I was like, I got to put this on the show today.
Wow. This is just, they made this for you.
I know. They're watching the show. They're like, we gotta sucker this idiot into
get Philly
doing
on this
something
one.
today.
Come on.
Yeah.
Put some cheese in the trap for Philly.
Radish.
Cheese in the trap for Philly.
Radish point specials there to record 55 plus, 60 plus, 65 plus, 70 plus, and so on. And they've associated odds with each of those point milestones for this season. You know what, Jeff? I think he takes a step back, but not too much. I'll keep him at the 60 plus point mark for this year. Run that power play.
I would have gone
the number 55. One guy.
I would have gone 55. I think it feels to me like this is going to be 50 points. 50 points for Darren Radish. 60 points is hard for a defenseman, man. I don't care who you are. How many 60 Zdeno Chara is in the Hall of Fame, like one of the best players I've ever seen. How many 60-point seasons did Zdeno Chara have? 60.
Ooh. I'm going to say minimal. I'm going to say like 1 to 2.
0.
Zero. It's 0?
He's never had a
See, I thought
season.
Like with him being on that power play, there would have been.
I know, right? Torrey Krug
had
60-point seasons. Now, no one's going to say Torrey Krug's a better defenseman than Zdeno Chara, but like 60 points is hard, man. 60 points is hard for a defenseman. It's tough.
Look,
it's tough.
All I know is everyone made a big deal about him going away from Kucherov. Kucherov light coming in here, maybe. You know,
oh, jeez, here we go. Gavin McKenna propping up Darren Radish already.
Put that thing on a platter, walk right down Broadway. Hello, Darren Radish. Hello, 60 points.
Gavin McKenna's going to be on PP1, feeding it to Darren Radish with the big bomb, and then Austin taps in the rebound. Is that your big play?
That's all right with me. If he's got secondaries, there's still points, and we get on our way to that 60-point milestone, so I'm good with it.
All right. Darren Radish.
In all seriousness, by the way, like 50 points is a lot of points, as you just pointed out, and I think a lot of Leafs fans are okay with that. Like, people are saying, oh, he's not going to get 70 again. I don't think most sane Leafs fans are thinking
No.
70 points is the bar. Like, that's where you got to get to. It's if he's got 45, 50 points and he's really good on both sides of the ice, I think people are going to be pretty happy.
Agreed 100%. Here's a question. Who's playing on the left side?
Great question. Zach Werenski.
Roman Josi. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Do not report that. I've had too much of this online. This is me and Zach shooting the shit. Okay.
Yeah. This is me being an idiot and Jeff just entertaining me.
Josi on the left side of Leafs blue line. Report. Mm-hmm. Oh, great. Okay.
Jeff Marek says.
Oh God, please! It's the bane of a. It's understandable when it happens because like we all sign up for this. Like that's cool. When your own company, like that's used to always bother us. Like when your own company does it on their website, you're not helping. You're really not helping whatsoever here.
This is the front page of the LeafsNation.com tomorrow.
Okay,
Jeff
great.
Marek
Thanks.
says,
yeah, thanks.
Werenski teams up with Radish.
Can I yell at Alberga about this? Just let me know if I can yell at
Yes.
Nick about this. As long as I can
Pass your complaints on to him.
As long as I can yell at Nick, then I'll be fine. Okay, good stuff, Philly. I want to thank Patrick Burke for stopping by to talk about his dad, Brian, going into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Speaking of which, Brian will be aboard tomorrow. And we'll be a lot more trade talk tomorrow on the program too, so check that one out as well. Thanks to Tyler Yaremchuk, who dropped by to talk about the story of the day, which has kind of been one of the stories of the last 3 weeks, which is Mike Babcock, and Oilers made it official today. He's the new head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. DJ Smith comes in as an assistant there. Thanks to you for watching. Thanks to you for listening. Thanks to all the chat questions. We should do that more often. And we will. Thanks for the downloads. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the favorites. Thanks for everything. All the clicks, all the love. We appreciate it, whether you're watching us on our Daily Faceoff YouTube or you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. Me and Philly and everyone here at Daily Faceoff appreciate it. Back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern for The Sheet. We'll talk to you then. Jeff Marek along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a